How's it going, everybody? JP here. Welcome back to another episode of a double shot of horror where we take a look at two horror films with a common theme. Tonight it's Werewolves. We decided to go a little bit more classic, venture out of the hood, and now we're going to talk some werewolf films. We'll be talking Big Bad Wolf from 2006 and Wolf from, I believe, 1994. So, first of all, I'm a little bit feeling under the weather, so if I'm not my usual talkative, won't shut up self, then, please excuse that. So, Rich, what's going on over on Rabbit and Red?
Rabbit and Red. Okay, first and foremost, here's the real introduction. I am Rich Stow. I host Rabbit and Red. I own The Devil's Eyes. And what's going on with Rabbit and Red? This week was a slow week. The show I put out this week was just me and Mike sitting around talking, and he had asked me, what it's like to be an extra on a movie. And I was like, I thought I told you this. He's like, no, you never told me this before. So I told him the whole story of working on Out of the Furnace, because I did about a month on that.
What was that? Out of the Furnace?
Oh, dude, see, I thought this movie was going to be really, really good. Like, it had Christian Bale, Woody Harrelson.
Oh, was that filmed around here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, right up by the airport. That's where we were shooting at. Somehow, dude, I got cast to do this, for a month. Like, I played a steel worker, I played a drug dealer, I played a fighter, and, like, rowdy redneck. So I'm on this movie for the whole shoot in Pittsburgh. And I basically just, give the whole story about what it's like working with the cast and everything. And, what a shitty way it is to be to be an extra, you really are like the bottom of the barrel. They really, like, some people there, they're nice people, and then there's assholes. Like, a lot of the PAs and a lot of people who do work on the set, will treat the extras just like they're pieces of garbage. But then you get some people who are nice, and then especially, the more time you spend with them and they see, like, oh, well, this dude's going to be here, this long. I ended up getting along with pretty much everybody, except for, like, one PA and this dude from Wardrobe, who is a real dickhead. And he's just a real smart. We got into a fight over craft services. I wanted to eat, the cast food, because everything they were serving for the extras was just garbage, dude. It was so disgusting. And it's like, I'm a real picky eater. So I grabbed my plate, and I was sitting there, and I was talking to the head PA and the one of the cinematographers. And he was like, dude, just grab a plate and eat. So I'm eating, and this dude comes up and grabs my hand, and he's like, you better not be eating this food if you're an extra.
No.
I'm like, oh. Yeah, I'm like, dude, I was like, you better get off my hand. And he's like, no, put that food down. I was like, dude, seriously, I was like, please don't fuck with me. I was like, I don't know who you are. I was like, you don't know who I am. I was like, let's just leave it at that. I was like, we're not getting into this over, food. And so, because he's seen I wouldn't back down, because most people would. They would be like, oh, I'm so scared because this is a movie set and I don't know you. Me, I was just like, really fucking agitated, because I'd been there for 8 hours. I'd been there since like 6 o'clock in the morning already. Damn. So this is 8 hours before we got to go to lunch. And anyway, I ended up getting my lunch and stuff, and that was fine. And then no one fucked with me after that, and they let me hang out in like the main craft services trailer for just like the main actors on set, like your principal cast and stuff. I hung out in there all day drinking coffee and shit. But then most of my scenes got cut, and the movie did horribly. So that's why I never really talked about it, because I was like, this is the movie I'm going to get to talk about. And then it just came out and fucking bombed. So I was like, really
disheartening, huh?
Yeah, I was like kind of embarrassed by it. Like, I'm more proud of the scenes I did in the stadium for Batman than I am doing
all. Too?
Yeah, but I only worked for a day. It was a 14-hour day, but
yeah.
There's only one scene where you can see me, and it's because I have my long ass hair. Like you see, like when the bombs are going off and everybody starts ducking, I could see myself for like maybe 5 frames.
It's
But
awesome. I had no idea you was an extra in anything.
yeah, dude, that's if you listen to that, see right where you're at. You need to get with Moss or Casting. If you ever have any desire to be in a movie, just find the local casting company, sign up. They will get you the jobs. If there's anything shooting locally, they will fucking call you. They will make sure you get the job because they get paid money just for finding you, and then you get paid $10 an hour for 8 hours. Then anything over 8, you automatically get time and a half. So every day, you're working 15-hour days. You're
That's
getting
pretty cool.
$10 an hour for that first 8, and then after that, you're getting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
$15, which is that's really fucking good. And then the only amusing story I had that I forgot to tell about was Sam Shepard was on the movie too, and we were all just standing around not doing nothing. So I'm like, man, I gotta fucking piss. So I walk up to this outhouse. It's like one of those porta-johns they brought down to this like remote part of the set. I'm in there pissing. Somebody comes, starts shaking the door. I'm thinking it's this dude who's been on the set with me almost as long as I was there. And we were just like bullshitting back and forth. I figure he's just fucking around. So I open the door, but like I push it. And I fucking hit Sam Shepard with the damn door. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, it's fine in there. And I just walked like I had no idea what to say because I was not expecting Sam Shepard to be standing like, 2 feet behind me while I'm pissing.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Cool. So I guess we should introduce our guest then.
Yes.
Probably should have did this a little bit sooner. Apologize for that. But when I first decided to start up this show, this is somebody that I actually wanted to get on the show. I've been listening to his show for a long time, since pretty much, I wouldn't say day 1, but day 2 at least. And that is Boss Butcher from Terror Troop. What's going on, dude?
Not much. I'm thrilled to be here, guys. I'm glad you get this thing going. And those were some great stories. I think I might look into being a monster too, or some kind of extra. I do have an interest in that. Those were awesome, Rich.
Yeah, it's fun, man.
Yeah, I do have an interest in that. I don't think I'd ever be an actor. I have a good face for radio type of thing, but although they need ugly actors too sometimes. But I think it'd be fun to be behind the scenes, helping make something creative like that. Just be a blast. So that sounds like a lot of fun. I know it's a lot more kind of hurry up and wait. I know that when you're really there, you're putting in some long hours. But yeah, I don't know. Is that where you're heading at, Rich? Into that kind of a field you're trying to get in to the movies? And
not really. I mean, I've always had an interest in acting and stuff, so that's why I signed on. But the people who I ended up hanging out with was more like your cameraman, your cinematographer, and all that, because I wanted to know what went into making the movie, and they shot on film, which was fucking great. Like I love when I get to see people shoot on film.
Yeah, they never do that anymore.
Yeah, same with Nolan. And him shooting in the IMAX, like it's some beautiful equipment, and it just sucks that everything's going over to this digital.
Yeah, that's a whole nother debate in itself, man.
Oh, for sure. It's funny when you brought that up. It reminded me I was watching the Ghastly Love of Johnny X, which I don't know if you guys have watched that. It has Reggie Bannister in it, and they were saying that's the last movie shot in black and white Kodak film, I believe.
Yeah.
And anyway. Just an aside. I liked the movie. It's not really horror, but it's a goofy kind of movie.
You're a pretty big fan of Reggie, aren't you, boss?
Oh, yeah. I got a big old man crush on Reggie since way back. He was like the big brother I never had. That's kind of how I feel about him. But, I enjoy his work a lot. He cracks me up, just the way he puts characters across, and and he seems like a cool guy. I never met the guy. But,
Rich actually is pretty cool with him. You've interviewed him a couple times, huh, Rich?
Yeah, he loves coming on the show. Anytime we give him a call, he's like more than happy to do it. And usually he gets back to us like within a week. So if we contact him on a Monday, he's like, yeah, we'll do it this Friday. But he is the coolest dude to talk to. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it seems like it. I've seen some YouTube spots with him, and just going into off the wall topics even, and he was really cool. I may have to get in touch with you about your contacts. I've tried reaching out to him, but I don't maybe have the right contact information on him. But I always, because I was kind of surprised that I never heard anything. And I've heard back. I've had plenty of guests on before, but I'd love to talk to him sometime. But that's great.
Oh yeah.
But
After when we're off air, I'll shoot you his personal email.
Oh, cool. Well, I'd
See, guys,
very much appreciate it.
And this is why the horror community is so awesome. Because
I agree.
Everybody is caring and shareful, and nobody has these like big. Well, I wouldn't say nobody, but
I would say
some
nobody.
people have. A lot of the horror people don't have big egos and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
I agree.
It's the people who start in horror and then get out of horror who got the big egos and are like, oh, I'm not talking about my old days of making Halloween.
I hear you. That's true. That's exactly. Yeah, my experience in general with all the people I've talked to, from writers that are successful, actors in varying degrees of success, right on down the line, I've really never ran into a real shithead. I've been lucky that way, I guess. And then even fellow podcasters, never ran into anybody that was a total jerk. I mean, our show, I will plug my show, I guess, if it's all right, but our show, Terror Troops, been around for a while. I just released on Sunday, as we're recording here, our 110th episode. And I would say, probably the real hardcore horror fans they're wanting a real serious breakdown. Maybe our show isn't the best, but basically our show is, we're no experts. We just kind of have fun with it. We're big fans of, horror, science fiction, monster movies. And we joke around a lot and have a good time on the show. And we're pretty famous for watching really crappy movies. I punish my co-hosts regularly. I'll let them go for a while. Like, we'll watch some good stuff, and then it's time to pull out something real shitty, and we have a good time with it. Willis Wheeler's on our show, and he always he isn't looking forward to those weeks. I know that because he has no tolerance for bad movies.
Oh, but it's so funny. It's so funny.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, we have a good time. If you want another podcast to load up for your work week, we appreciate having you over there, and we love interacting with everyone who listens and everything too. So I appreciate the opportunity to come on your show, JP. I really do.
Oh man, no problem at all. I like I said, you was one of the first people I thought of when I decided that I wanted to have kind of like a weekly guest, because like I said, I highly recommend Terror Troop, by the way. I've been listening to it since the old Horror Palace days. I didn't always like comment or get in touch or anything until of recent times, but I've always been a pretty big fan of your show. I think it's a good. You got that whole like international thing going. Like, you guys have a lot of different members, right?
Oh, for sure. That's one thing. It kind of evolved into that. We took what we had and ran with it, and it's evolved over the years to where it is now, and it's going to evolve from there, of course. But we have hosts in the good old USA, of course. We have hosts in Mexico, Scotland, England, and Australia. Not everyone's on every show, but I decided to put segments in the middle part of the episode, just to make sure, because it's hard to line up time zones with people in Australia and England, and you know what I mean? It's hard to get everybody together, and plus we've had a couple of those episodes where we had like 8 people show up, and man, they last forever.
Yeah.
And Willis is going to sleep, and it's tough.
Did Willis not fall asleep on the show before? I swear that happened.
He's happy. He's fallen asleep a few times. I've edited out it depends on how they happen. You know what I mean? Sometimes I edit it out, but it's real late for him when we record, and he gets pretty sleepy. In fact, I told him I knew we were going to have Chris on, and it's funny because we have Chris XS, who's down in Mexico City, is kind of like the complete opposite of Willis. So Willis is short, to the point, likes to get it out there, and then Chris is real elaborate in what he likes to talk about. So those episodes do go a little bit longer, and man, it was getting late, and Willis, he'll nod off once in a while, but we just roll with it. He wakes up pretty quick, so.
Yeah, definitely. I've listened to pretty much every episode except for maybe the last couple. I like to build up a little, queue, and then just go through and listen to like 6 at a time. What are some of your favorite horror films?
Favorite horror films? Yeah, in no particular order. I love The Devil's Rejects. I absolutely love that movie. I actually like all but one of Rob Zombie's movies.
I know, and I'm
um,
surprised by which one that is.
yeah,
The
yeah,
Lords of Salem. I
Lords
love
of
that
Salem.
movie.
I know. We've got people on the show that have liked it. I think a slight majority didn't like it, but and we can get into that if you want to. But I feel like I
Yeah.
beat a dead horse
Yeah, you've
pound in that
definitely
movie.
talked about that one for a while.
But I'll tell you this: if you want an idea of what I was expecting out of Lords of Salem, might help kind of paint the picture a little. Is a movie called Kill List, which I don't know if you've seen that. That's kind of what I was expecting. Not identical. The story's a little different, but the type of movie that I was looking at going into it, and believe me, I was thinking now this is going to be movie of the year. I'm so excited, and I left the theater feeling anything but that way. But
You got to see it in the theater.
oh yeah, I managed to be able to see it in the theater. It wasn't there very long, and it was pretty limited. I think the release of it.
Yeah, it was.
Which is weird too. Actually, once I saw it, I could understand why. Not because not because of my personal opinion, just because of how rough it was. I mean, that was for a lot of mainstream audiences, they would not even be tolerating that. But
the third act falls apart.
I love the third act.
See,
how can you love? It's not even a real third act, JP. It's not a real third act.
I will clarify if you want just briefly why I didn't like it. I'll tell you, but it was just basically I knew what kind of movie I was getting into. I figured it would be a slow burn. I knew it was involving Satanism and all this kind of stuff. And I was excited because, I just thought this is going to be a cool movie because I do like because I'm a child of the 70s. A lot of the 70s horror movies were slow burn, witchcraft, ghost type stories, and I was all into it. And I was actually into the movie for a while, and then, I don't know, just something about the dialogue it was like, here's the way I've always described it, it was like if you had a junior high school age kid who was really pissed off at his religious parents and just wanted to say anything he could to offend them. That's just it's what it seemed like to me. And it was just, I was just like, seriously? Come on. I mean, I expected it to be more of a dread and this real horror. And I don't know, it just did not deliver that to me personally. And that's why I was so disappointed in it. And other reasons, but that was the main synopsis of it. But I'm sorry to get off track on you. I meant to give you some more horror movies. I'll tell you, like the roots of horror, why I got into it. One film that has stuck with me all these years, I always mention, is Let's Scare Jessica to Death. I think some people that watched it, if you didn't see it as a kid or if you grew up then, they may not get as freaked out by it. But like I saw that movie when I was probably 6 or maybe 8. And that movie scared the shit out of me.
Those are the ones that stick with you.
Yeah, and I still love it. I still love that movie a lot. And I love all the Universal horror, of course, grew up on that. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre, awesome. I am so stoked about the 4K transfer. I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, I got to say, props for picking that one because that is my favorite horror film of all time.
Right. That movie, I reviewed it, and I don't know if we did a full-blown review of it on the episode, but I went back and watched it, and it had been a few years since I had seen it, I think, and I was just blown away when because I was looking at movies different then after getting into podcasting, and then I was on Bill Shetty's Grizzly Zone show, which was a video podcast for a while, and he had a way of breaking down movies, and he wanted you to look at all these different categories. So I had that in my mind, where before I just watched it as a fan, and just amazing how well that movie holds up, and as low a budget as they had, and it still delivers the goods in my book. So I'll be one of the first people to buy that thing, that's for sure, when it comes available.
I'm definitely excited about that. I think that, I've said it time and time again, Texas Chainsaw to me is the truest definition of a horror film. Yeah. So that's why it always stuck with me. It is a true horror film from beginning to end, and it's, oh man, I could talk about it for days, but I'll spare you all that for now.
What's your thoughts on part 2? I
love it
because I love part 2.
I
really love part 2.
Part 2 is up there with one, top 20 favorite horror films of all time. Part 2 is right there. And I don't know why it's such a different film, and I almost cannot explain what I like so much about Part 2, because it really is a completely different film than the first one, but I absolutely just love the zaniness of it, just how crazy it is, and Chop Top, of course.
Yeah, I think it's Mosley that just Mosley and the whole.
Dennis
I
Hopper.
like Dennis Hopper. Like, oh my god, when he's fucking getting those 2 chainsaws and he's out there going to town on the fucking log.
Yeah, and he was in his heyday then too. I mean, he had a real thing going in the late '80s. It was in a lot of good movies, for sure.
Everybody was shocked that he agreed to do that, and then I think he did it because it was what's his name's birthday?
Toby Hooper?
It was Willie Nelson's birthday, and he wanted to go hang out with him and play golf. And he was like, "I'll do Texas Chainsaw Massacre too."
That's funny, man.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have a big issue with that movie at all. I liked it.
A lot of people give it shit, though.
I can understand why, though, man. It's not.
Sure, it's not the same. Yeah, you're expecting at least somewhat the same movie, and. They go kind of a different route with it, but
it's almost a hard one to even defend sometimes because the people that are arguing against it kind of have points, but it's just one of those things that kind of like it goes beyond like logical reviewing. There's something about it that it just has some kind of charm to it that I love.
Well, look, man. I mean, Willis and I defend Blood Gnome, so that's our initiation movie over there. But
what's funny about Blood Gnome is me and a group of other YouTubers who do a weekly review show are doing a theme week this week, and we're doing little creature Tiny Terror type movies, and I picked Blood Gnome, and it turns out like 2 other people was going to do Blood Gnome, and the reason I picked Blood Gnome was because I heard you guys talk about it and I never seen it, and I actually own it and haven't watched it yet.
Oh boy. Well, let me tell you, it's not good, but the creatures are awesome in that movie. I still stand by it. I think, and the idea of the movie is freaking great. But yeah, it's not a good movie. I can't say, I will never tell anybody it's really good, and I'd be careful who I recommended it to, I guess. But yeah, we have a lot of fun with that one. Always have. It's kind of like how Land of the Creeps always talks about Halloween. We always talk about Blood Gnome over there. But
it's almost like a Carry On joke now or something. It's like a little inside joke.
Yeah, that's my new thing is there's a couple of our hosts who haven't watched it, and that's mandatory now. They have to watch it, and anyone that joins us in the future is going to have to watch it because it's just part of Terror Troop now. I think that's another one that seems kind of hard to get a hold of. I haven't really poked around that much, but he doesn't have a Twitter. The guy that directed, I can't even remember his name. But anyway, there's that. but I wanted to mention, of course, Phantasm. Love Phantasm. That's Phantasm 2. 2 of my favorites.
Right with you on that. I think Phantasm has been brought up all 3 shows now. I think somebody said it was their favorite.
Especially Phantasm 2, which fell in my top 10, top 5.
I agree with you completely. I think the second one's the best. Awesome movie, and I don't know. I mean, I like them both, but the second one definitely. Yeah,
I just hope 5 is really good. Like, I just hope it wraps up the series. Like, I've waited so long for this sequel.
It came out of nowhere.
Exactly. I'd given up hope because I'm like, God damn, Angus Scrimm isn't getting any younger, and.
Boss, do you remember a while back, Don Coscarelli was in a Ask Me Anything on Reddit, and he actually kind of hinted at a Phantasm 5? I know you were there because I talked to you.
Oh, you're the guy, man. Yeah. Yes, I do remember that, and that was exciting stuff. And I actually, that was a good day, because he actually answered one of my dumb questions. I asked about what was it? Something about where it was going to be screening or something. where the movie. And he answered that one of all the things I could ask. But anyway, it was funny. Good that I had an actual interaction with him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But he did hint at it back then, and it was kind of like I didn't really know if he was like being serious or not. But
I thought he was joking. Yeah. I think the thing about it, I think I'll like it, and like you'll like it as a Phantasm fan, but. like I can look at Phantasm 3 and I could see where, God, not too many people are going to like this movie, but I like it all right. There's things about it I don't like, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree. I like how the franchise really is connected. It's the only franchise that I could think of that literally starts like right after the next frame in each sequel.
Yeah.
That's so
Yes,
awesome.
it is cool. Watching them back to back to back can be tedious. That's what we did. I don't know if you guys did it that way, but
Yeah,
I
we
remember
Do
I
it all
listened.
the time.
Yeah, I listened to your episode on that, and I got a kick out of that. And it was funny listening to. It's funny the observations everyone has about the movie. Well, of course, I'm a big fan of it, so I like to listen to that. But yeah, and you know what I mean though, because they do the flashback in every episode, and it's like okay, But
Yeah.
if you imagine yourself not seeing it for a couple years, it'd be cool to see. That's kind of how Maniac Cop's kind of like that too.
I
Which
love
we knocked
Maniac
all
Cop.
those out. Oh hell yeah! Lizzie and I went to Alamo Draft House to watch the 4K screening of Maniac Cop 2, and that was a blast. I mean,
Yeah, I
even
remember
she
you
liked it.
guys saying that you liked it a lot more as like a live event.
Yeah, it was great because you got it on the big screen. It was all cleaned up, and there's just something about that big screen. I mean, you do notice things that you wouldn't notice on your TV, even if you have a pretty good size one. I mean, sure, if you watched it a bunch of times, you'd probably catch some of the stuff. But what was cool to me is because Liz notoriously hates 80s horror movies.
I know,
And,
which blows my mind because those
Wow.
are the best ones.
Those are the best ones.
I
And-
agree with you guys many times. There's times where some of them I'm not so nuts about, but yeah, I don't know. There's something about that style, the time period. I don't know exactly what it is. I guess I'd liken it to when I was younger watching 50s movies, maybe. Maybe it's something like that, but I
Yeah,
don't really know.
it probably is with like her age, but I'm even younger than her, and like I
Yeah.
love me some 80s movies.
Right. I hear you. Yeah, it's inexplicable. Sometimes she does though. And then the ones she does like, I'm like, what? Like
Yeah.
all those Freddy movies. I'm like, come on, man. I mean, I don't
Um,
know what were we smoking when we went to watch those things. I'm sorry to all you Freddy fans out there, but I mean, I like
which
the
Rich is one. Rich is a
Yeah.
pretty big fan.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Nightmare fan.
Right.
But that's
I can't
what
help it. That's what I grew up with. You'd go to Hills and there'd be a Freddy Krueger aisle. Every toy, everything
Yeah.
you could think of. Like, dress up like this child murderer. It's fun.
Well, and I love the character of Freddy. Some of those movies, I don't know. Well, how do you guys feel about the new Nightmare? Well, I loved that movie. That was
Really?
real clever. Yeah,
How
I really liked
How
it.
could you like that, but
It was clever.
not love the original?
I think he's saying.
Oh, I like the
New
original.
Nightmare.
I do like the original.
The new the
Oh,
like,
you
Yeah,
mean
the
Wes
Wes
Craven's
Craven's
Nightmare.
New Nightmare.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's my second favorite. I
You
thought
was
you
Yeah.
meant
thinking
the
the
new.
remake.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about the remake, which was like
No.
that just totally blew my mind real quick.
Oh,
I was
no.
like, oh my
Although-
god.
I will say I did like the remake. I know a lot of people don't, especially hardcore, Freddy Krueger fans. Although Liz does like it too, but she likes the original better. But Willis, yeah, he's not a fan of it, of course. But yeah,
New
Anyway.
Nightmare though, I don't know. I might like that more than the original.
yeah, it was a pretty
And-
cool movie.
And I just did. Actually, I just wrote an article about that because it was Scream before Scream, really.
It was.
Yeah.
It really was Scream before Scream.
And just the 5-clawed glove. I fucking love that thumb claw. Like that just made it so badass. And the way it was like his skeleton flipped on the outside of the muscle,
Right.
the reversal of colors, and then his face going from being burned to just ripped open skin.
Mhm.
And him not being so cheesy and everything, like not like
Yeah.
doing wisecracking and stuff. That
Yeah.
that Nightmare movie, I was like, oh man, I was like, this is good. I was like, hopefully they make sequels to this.
Yes,
And they never did.
that's it.
See, it's all about part 3 for me. I'm a huge Dream Warriors fan. I love that film. It's one of my favorites of all time.
hmm Yeah, the Dream Warriors.
Yeah, that's part.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that. I was living in Las Vegas in my college days when that movie was out. So yeah, I like that movie, and I love the soundtrack, of course.
Great
It
soundtrack.
has a good soundtrack.
So does Part 4, though, man. Part
See-
4 has an awesome soundtrack.
Dude, I said
Right.
that to somebody and they were like, "No way." I'm like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Have you ever like listened to the music in the film?" I'm like, "Every fucking song that comes on is like a #1 hit. Like you could play that shit on the radio today."
Right. Yeah. I don't know. But I don't know. Yeah, that's I know, getting back to the scare. See, that's why I like the remake, because to me it was more of a serious movie. You know what I mean? And it was scary, and I don't know. I'm kind of weird that way. I don't mind the sequels. A lot of people really take against them, or not sequels, but remakes. I really tend to keep an open. I'm not saying people aren't open-minded, but they don't bother me. The idea of them doesn't bother me. I understand though, like being a big fan of something like there's another thing I beat to death on Terror Troop, but like I grew up reading Ghost Rider, and when they made that movie, I was like, what in the hell is going on here? Especially the second one. The first one at least was a bearable movie, but God, they completely gutted the character, and it was just. I know how that is. I understand people getting upset, but. You know, like myself, like I love the Friday the 13th. That remake was great, I thought.
Yeah, I
It
think
wasn't bad.
remake. See,
Like
me,
the more I watch it, the more I like find myself like loving it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My thing with remakes is I used to not like them for the longest time,
Mm-hmm.
and then I kind of transitioned out of that a bit, and like I have no beef with remakes at all. If somebody announces a remake, I don't get super excited for it. I kind of get like, But if you think about how many good remakes have came, like the Maniac remake and the Hills Have Eyes,
There's
like,
more good ones than bad ones.
there's definitely good ones. I don't know if there's more or less, but the amount of good ones we got with the idea of remaking, it was worth the trade, you know? Like, we got a lot of great movies out of it. So I don't have a problem disconnecting either. Like, if a remake comes out, I never feel like it dishonors, or maybe dishonors, but it doesn't hurt the original. It doesn't make that. I don't like Texas Chainsaw any less than I would, before the remake came. After the remake came out, I like it no less, even if I hate it.
Oh, exactly.
I still like the original just as much as I ever would have.
Right. If not more. You know?
Yeah.
The only beef I have with the Nightmare remake is that there's no logical explanation of why he has that glove in that movie.
Oh, okay.
That's not the only reason, man.
Like, he never killed anybody. He was just a straight up child molester. So why did he get this glove? Like, did he make this glove after he, like, in the dream world?
Who knows? It would have to be a revenge-based motivation, I would think. But yeah, I mean, that's true. They don't. Fair enough. You know what I mean? Yeah, I get your point.
I just hated the characters, man. Nancy is not Nancy. That is not Nancy. They're not trying to give me that Nancy because it's not her. It's just not.
Right. Right.
Ready for werewolves?
Yeah. Let's get into some werewolves.
Yeah, we got carried away there, didn't we?
Yeah. So, do you guys have a particularly favorite werewolf film? Like, you have a go-to werewolf film?
The Wolf Man.
Yeah,
Classic.
Nothing wrong with that.
I can't. Like, I mean, I love a lot of werewolf films, but if you said I can only pick one to watch, it would have to be, Lon Chaney Jr., Wolfman. That's the go-to. I mean, it's fucking Lon Chaney Jr., dude.
Yep.
That right there. I mean, that just seals it for me.
I can't argue with you. That's definitely one of mine, for sure. I of course, have to go with American Werewolf in London to add to it.
Yes.
Which is just classic. That really is a go-to werewolf film. Like, that's a lot of people's go-to, for good reason, too.
Oh, yeah, you got pretty much the pinnacle of werewolf transformation with all practical effects.
I haven't seen it done better.
Yeah, I can't say I have either, and we got better technology now. They should be able to pull it off, but I guess
maybe the Wolfman remake, because that was really good practical. It's not as good, but it was really good. I mean, it even got, Oscar nominated? Didn't it win the Oscar?
Yep. I've heard people beat that movie up, too. I don't know.
I have, too. I still have not seen it.
I like it. But,
It's good.
yeah,
I liked it too.
nothing wrong with it. And I'll throw out our kick around. Oh, one other thing about American Werewolf in London, I still love Nurse Price after all these years. But the other movie we always joke around, it's our werewolf blood gnome, is that Howling 3, the marsupials.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that Australian one.
Yeah, that one's special. That's for sure. But
that series, like, I don't know how it went from like awesome to just just downright. I can't make it through 10 minutes of like Howling 13. But the reboot was actually pretty good.
yeah,
The
Kinda like
Howling
Hellraiser.
franchise is crazy long for considering, like, I haven't seen like any of them, but I've only seen like the first one, but I'm pretty sure that they're all pretty bad. And it's like the Children of the Corn franchise and Amityville Horror. Like, how did they keep making sequels?
That's it. They're just investors out there willing to take a chance on that name because they did have success early on. And certainly
Yeah.
with the Amityville, it's funny you bring that up. I'm getting ready to start a segment with April Washko, who's an actress that comes on my show a lot. And we're going to be covering some Amityville horror stuff. Not really, more like documentaries, but it was interesting though. They did make some money off of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How about American Werewolf in Paris? Basically the sequel to Werewolf in London.
It.
I've seen
You've
it
never
exactly
seen
once.
it?
I've seen it exactly once, and it was many, many years ago. But it wasn't as good as the original. Let's put it.
No,
that
it
way.
was nowhere near as good as the original, but still had a very solid story.
Yeah,
Like,
I
the
don't
story
remember it
is
being
there.
horrible.
I'll
But
have
they
to
did go a
check
little. That was like the dawn of like, oh, we can CGI everything.
Mhm.
So the wolves were like they were all CGI. That's the only thing that I really didn't fucking like about it. But I mean, story wise, I put that on the top 5 underrated werewolf films.
Mhm.
Interesting.
It's a good one.
My favorite. Go ahead.
Huh?
Was you gonna say something?
Oh well, Underworld. I mean, the Underworld movies as a whole.
See, my beef with Underworld is I don't really like action and horror mixed together. I love action and sci-fi, sci-fi and horror. I just don't really like action and horror too much. Occasionally I do, but not really.
Do you like Silver Bullet?
Yeah, I love Silver Bullet.
And whenever the wolf is chasing him and he's shooting fireworks at him and stuff, what would you call that scene?
Well, okay, but it's a different tone. Like Underworld has this over stylized look to it, and it's not really my thing.
Yeah, they do go a little overboard, like like sort of like Batman-esque, like Gotham type
Kind of,
look
yes,
to it,
yes.
and with all the the battling back and forth. But okay, to pinpoint it and be specific, how about just Underworld 3: Rise of the Lycans?
I've only seen the first one.
JP, you're gonna have a package in the mail, buddy. You need some movies here.
I have about 600 or 700 of them right now, and probably like 200 I've not even watched yet. So,
Man, Mike does the same shit. He has like 2,000 movies, and it's like I've watched 10 of them. But shit, yeah, number 3 is really fucking good. It's a prequel, to number 1.
yeah,
And it shows you how all the werewolves came about. But that is a solid fucking werewolf movie, man.
I actually did want to get in, check out that series from front to back because I'm a huge fan of like franchises. I love the idea of like sequels and stuff. So, if it's made 2 or 3 movies, chances are I'll eventually check them all out.
Okay, that's about it. I'm out of werewolf movies.
Okay,
I mean, there's a
I
couple
got one
more,
more.
but
My favorite werewolf film is Ginger Snaps.
There you go. It's a good movie.
that's a good pick.
I love Ginger Snaps. I think the symbolism with the puberty and all that stuff, it just works so well for the werewolf film. It makes so much sense. Of course, Catherine Isabel is awesome. I've liked her in everything I've seen her in, including American Mary, Freddy vs. Jason, everything that I've seen her in. I really enjoy her. acting and performances. She's from Canada, I believe. Yeah, I mean, Ginger Snaps, when I first seen it,
Do you like it as a series or just part one?
I like the whole series. I like all
good
three
call.
of them.
Good call.
It's a good trilogy.
Yes, it is.
So,
I can't elaborate on that.
yeah, Scream Factory is putting out that Blu-ray Ginger Snaps, which I'm excited about.
Nice.
I didn't hear about that. Damn, shit gets past me.
Yeah, there's tons of Scream Factory releases, man. There's just, I love that company so much.
Is that going to be like a solid release, like new commentaries and everything? Or?
Yeah, I think it's a collector's edition, so they're going,
oh shit,
full scope
I'm
on
kidding
that.
I'll have that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's my favorite. You guys said Yinz's favorite. So you guys want to get into Wolf from 1994, I believe.
You bet.
All right, Rich, do you want to hit a synopsis on this one?
Synopsis would be Jack Nicholson turns into a wolf.
That's
I mean, really, that's the only way, because it's not like your average, werewolf movie where it's like, oh, I got bit and now I'm waiting for the next full moon where I'll beast out and stuff. Like, it's not really played like that. Like, for all intents and purposes, it's more like an evolution type thing. Like, he's going to evolve into this thing and that's it.
Yeah, it's like
similar to Ginger Snaps, kind of.
Yeah, he kind of gets bit by a wolf that he hits with his car, and it's kind of like it. I've seen this done before, but as he goes through the stages of whatever the full transformation or whatever, he becomes edgier and more competitive and libido and all the heightened senses and stuff. So it's one of those kind of werewolf films. I've seen them before, but that's kind of what this one's doing.
Yeah, like the scene at the zoo, that is fucking cool, where like they're trying to handcuff him and stuff, and he just like Superman's out of there.
Yeah.
Like that's when the movie starts picking up, and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. But I mean, it is a horror movie, and I do love the movie because I love everything Jack Nicholson does, and especially having I'm blanking on her name.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes, thank you. Having her on there, like, I mean, the cast is there, story's there, but it kind of feels like a horror drama.
I think.
Could I say it like that, like drama?
Yeah,
almost?
yeah, you can, because that was actually one of my complaints. It's. I mean, you can't really criticize a film for not being more horror. But that I was looking for more horror in this than there was, and I honestly got to say I didn't love this one. I did not like it. Thought it was solid, but I was looking for more horror. I did like that they was kind of going more of like the classic type of werewolf look, where he just gets kind of hairier. It's not like a big hulking creature, which I like from time to time. I like both. I like the big giant creatures and stuff, but the regular man werewolf is cool too. So it's nice to see every once in a while. But this one to me, it just was like long, and I couldn't really get into it a lot of time. Of course, Jack Nicholson is awesome. He has charisma for days. So, of course he's going to make it interesting. But the overall story, it's just like, I felt like it's been done before. I felt like it wasn't anything really above and beyond or special at all. I wasn't into it too much.
And it does play as like a love story. I think it's the ending too, that it doesn't really, like, the ending doesn't pay off in like this big climax. It's like, we're two wolves and we're gonna run through the woods. like that's it. We're wolf lovers now.
Right. We're
gonna go build a den and have baby wolves.
I mean, there was a lot of story with his life and his bosses and his, politicking at work and stuff like that. I really wasn't into it that much. I didn't find it super interesting. I don't know, man. I think I was just looking for more of a straight up horror film in this one, and it just wasn't that for me.
Mm, I can't really say, it wasn't what I wanted, because I mean, there's tons of movies out there that give me what I want. So to see something different is cool, but at the same time, I would have liked the ending just to like tweaked a little bit more, just a little bit bigger payoff. I
The
mean, if I
ending
had
to
to,
me just felt like all right, now we're gonna end it.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, that's it, we're done. So I
Almost
mean,
like-
rating it, I would give it 7.5 out of 10.
Interesting. So what did you think of it, boss?
Well, I liked it. It's been a number of years since I've seen it, and what you're talking about with the writing and stuff, I didn't really mind. I thought it was kind of cool that they gave it an extra dimension. A lot of horror doesn't have that kind of character development in it, and a different kind of story. Even if it is kind of a love story, it was still interesting. It wasn't overly sappy. Really, the biggest thing for me that I wish they would have done is they would have pushed it a little more with the gore effects, and like when he'd attack people, why not show something there, And yeah, you guys are right. The ending is kind of a fadeaway. It's just kind of a dud of an ending, really.
Yeah.
But
It's just an ending for ending's sake.
Yeah.
right, yeah, but I got a kick out of it because basically here you got this guy who's gotten hosed over by numerous people, which coincides with him becoming a werewolf, and then he, one way or another, revenge is extracted. It's pretty cool. I liked James Spader in this movie too, which I think he's great. I mean, I just like his acting a lot. Especially I have ever since, way back in the old John Hughes movies and things like that he was in, and those kind of movies back in the 80s, date night type movies, I guess you'd call them, or whatever. But I don't know, good cast, the acting, of course, great. It's a top notch production. I just think that took a little of that edge off if they would have had him, because that attack, the one attack with these thugs that are trying to rob him.
I love that scene.
It was
That
cool,
was one
but
of the standout scenes for me.
it was.
I just
yeah,
thought
it
it was
was
funny.
It was cool, but I just wish you could have seen the attack a little more.
Yeah, and that's the feeling I kept getting with the film. It's just like I think it really would have, like you said, benefited from maybe some more gore or just better attack sequences.
Right. Yeah, there's a couple of things that could have improved on that, and I'm forgive me, but I'm not familiar with how you guys do the reviews. But do I just throw out whatever? You can edit this out if you want, but
Just throw out whatever.
What do you?
Okay, yeah, just go for it. Well, the one thing the deer, he attacks a deer in one of his first encounters as being a werewolf, and that deer prop definitely could have been better. It was pretty stiff. It looked like it had rigor mortis already.
Yeah.
That was one thing I noticed. And then the one where he's realizing he has a real acute hearing and his ears are moving and stuff. That was, I don't know. I liked it, but it was kind of weird too to watch. I don't know. Not a knock, just kind of an observation.
Yeah, I like that effect. I thought it was funny.
Yeah. Do you know how they pulled it off? I was thinking they must have had something stuck to the back of his ear and moved it.
Yeah,
maybe,
I was thinking it was something like that. It was just like pulling his ear a bit.
Right. And then I learned something in this movie. He drives a Volvo, and it's an older model Volvo, but still, I had no idea those things were rear-wheel drive. When he peels out, just I don't know. I noticed goofy stuff in movies, but that was one thing I was surprised by. I was like, wow, that thing's got can't even say it, rear-wheel drive. But I don't know. I overall liked it. I thought it was a pretty cool movie.
What would you rate it?
Rate it? You guys go out of 10, huh?
Yeah.
I think probably 7 is pretty close. 6.5 or 7. I go if it would have had more violence and more kind of stuff like that, I probably would have gone even a 7.5 on it. But yeah, that just kind of took it down a notch for me.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a 7, not 6.5. 6.5.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
I didn't love it. I think that also watching the films in, I watched Big Bad Wolf first, and then I watched Wolf, and I think it would have worked better the other way around.
Yeah.
Maybe so. Yeah. I watched them in that same order. I have to say. And that's probably why that stood out to me so much, because, yeah, well, as we'll see, that one's a little different.
Yeah. So, Wolf, you guys, would you recommend it?
Yeah.
To watch, sure. Yeah, depending on who it is too. I mean, somebody that's really into the kills and the blood, probably not. But yeah,
For your like average horror fan, like the people that go to the movies and like,
It does
keep
feel
giving
like,
all these like found footage movies big box office takes, they
right.
would love this.
Oh,
This
sure.
would be a 10 out of 10 for them.
Or
But
even
like
it
some.
feels very mainstream. Like it
Yeah,
feels like it's a
Exactly.
mainstream target audience.
exactly.
I was even saying somebody that you were introducing to horror might be a good pick.
Oh yeah.
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 I mean, shit, you could fucking the kids could watch this.
Pretty much.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get into Big Bad Wolf. So this one came out in 2006 and completely under my radar. Like I've really not heard of this one. I've barely ever seen it on any lists or anything. I owned it for a while and I tried watching it a while back and I just was like, I'm not really feeling this. And this time watching it, I really liked it a lot. This film follows a group of teenagers, I guess, who, I guess they're post high school. They decide to go to the lead character's stepdad's cabin. His stepdad's kind of a dick. They go there without him knowing, against his will, and they basically run into a giant werewolf up there. People get kind of slaughtered, and the kid then tries to find out who the werewolf is, and after finding out, he tries to stop the werewolf.
Very good.
Yay.
So, what did you guys think of Big Bad Wolf? Anybody?
Who goes first?
I guess I should, pick somebody, but I don't. I just like the awkward silence.
Go ahead, host. Pick someone.
So, yeah, Rich, what do you think of it? Was this the first time you watched it?
No.
So you've seen it before?
Whenever we had talked previously and you'd said, "Oh, I never watched this one," you didn't add that you owned it for all this time either. I can't believe you didn't watch it.
Yeah, I own a lot of stuff that I haven't seen yet.
I caught this in about 2007. So maybe a year after it came out, and this is another one of those movies that I put on my, underrated werewolf films. And the first time I watched it, I was like, wow, this is really good. But after watching it again, I'm like, man, I fucking love this movie.
Right.
And it's so cool because, the first act, I mean, you're getting a main cast bloodbath.
Exactly, and that's one of the first things
and
I noted.
It throws you so bad. You're like, "What? The movie's over."
It sets up as a Cabin in the Woods movie.
Oh, and I'm so glad you brought that up because there's a scene, where the two that were out by the tree trying to screw around, and he comes running around the barn. That is identical to the scene in Cabin in the Woods, where he comes running right after his girlfriend got hit with the bear trap. And you see that movie that scene is played out in every movie that has a cabin in woods. Evil Dead, everything. Like yelling Bobby Joe and then turn around and running back, for the door. Like that scene and the way it's set up, it plays out in almost every movie. But that opening is just so confusing because you're like, everybody's going to die. It's like there's no way to get away from it. And then you hear the werewolf start to talk. And he's just... and then to top it all off, he's a rapey werewolf.
Right. That really
That is so fucking cool.
I thought he was killing her. And then they look in the door. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like, he's a raping werewolf. Like, that just fucking adds, like, so many levels to it.
I actually thought that was kind of scary. Until he started, like, making jokes, I actually found it kind of scary. I was like, oh, damn, this thing is, like, crazy.
Right.
I have never seen another movie where a werewolf runs around, raping people. Like, this is it. You want to watch a rape revenge werewolf fucking murder, and you get double main cast bloodbaths. So you get the third act in the first act, and the third act in the third act.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a film called The Beast Within. It's pseudo werewolfy, and it has a raping werewolf. If you want to call it a werewolf.
Wow.
I tried to watch that. I never made it past like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I'll watch it again. I will.
Yeah, I seen it in when Vandergrift, PA. They have this like horror marathon thing, 35 millimeter prints, where they show like 4 horror films, Friday and Saturday, I think. And I went out there and seen, I went out there the last time and watched The Beast Within, Phantasm, and Halloween. It was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, but Beast Within, I didn't love it, but that's kind of a loose recommendation if you want to check out another rapey style werewolf.
If you like rape and werewolves, here's the 2 movies you should watch.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, the whole main cast bloodbath thing was totally surprising, because I instantly, when you see the group of characters, you're like, okay, dead, surviving. And then when you're like, which order are they going to die? And then when you see them kill like 3 people early on, you're like, wait a minute, something's up here.
You're like, how's this movie going to last all night when everybody's dead?
Yeah.
So
and then, dude, the effects too, going practical. Yeah, there's a little CGI here and there, but for the main part, I mean, dude, it's all practical effects, which are fucking nice.
Yeah.
Anything that has practical effects, I automatically love, just because I love that, people stick to that form of, special effects.
Yeah.
No digital. I'm so anti-digital everything, but here I am on my laptop and my digital microphone.
These kids today and all their digital effects.
Yeah.
But no, I'm right with you, man. You gotta love the practicals. I came from a time where, Tom Savini was king, and I just cannot give enough props for people who use practicals. It truly does. Even if your movie sucks and you have some solid practicals, I'm probably gonna like you a little bit.
Exactly.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, what did you think of this one, boss?
Oh, I was very, very pleasantly surprised. When I first started it, I could tell it's low budget. So I'm like, okay, cool. I watch this all the time, so this is right in my bread and butter. And I was kind of expecting a kind of run-of-the-mill bad werewolf movie that I'd probably enjoy, right? Well, then...
That's kind of what I was expecting.
Yeah, and things took an interesting turn. You see a couple of crazy things. You mentioned the werewolf raping someone and ripping the balls off of somebody, which you don't see every day. What movie it harkened me back to was Night of the Demon, which is a Sasquatch movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that. This movie is, of course, much better of a movie, but I love Night of the Demon just because of how crazy it is. And yeah, the werewolf's talking. He's, taunting people. He's awesome. I mean, it was great. He was kind of like a mixture between a werewolf and Freddy Krueger in a way. And I found that kind of funny and really entertaining.
I don't think it ever got too over the top, though.
No, it didn't.
Kept it light.
Yeah, it was made sense. It didn't get too carried away. You didn't almost hear the rim shot drums in the background. It's not quite that bad. But there's a lot to be liked about this. You mentioned the practical effects. Of course, I agree. Also, in 2006 and beyond, even, you hardly ever see a real, actual fire, which you get in this movie, which I love. And you get interesting kills, a bear trap to the head. That's always cool when they get original. Little detail things that I loved. One of them's it just made me laugh, but there's this kind of the college school news team that comes to try and get the scoop, and the boom guy's a complete spaz. At least the first time we encounter him. And then they're like showing news footage of a kill scene, let's put it that way, a murder scene. And they have a great footage of the deputy walking out of the door and puking.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that. And you got a pretty cool, as far as effects, charbroiled werewolf at this movie. Not to give anything away, but it doesn't really.
Dude, that looks so good too.
It did. It was awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thank you for bringing it to my attention, because I think I've run across it. How I watched it was on that app on the Xbox. It was the what's it called?
Crackle?
Frightflix. Frightflix.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was on there, and you got commercials, unfortunately, but they cut it good, unlike Crackle. Crackle just butchers
Yeah.
movies.
Crackle
They-
will just sometimes just like random cut to a commercial.
yeah, these were timed pretty good, I have to say. If you want to watch it for free, that's a good way to do it. But I'd buy this thing. I mean, straight up, I'd buy
I
this.
bought it for like $3.
Yeah, that's a deal. Hell yeah.
That's amazing. Like you got it pretty cheap.
Yeah, I get a lot of my stuff cheap. But what did you guys think of Sam, the love interest?
Oh, the girl? Yeah, I liked her, I guess. But it was kind of funny because they did one thing that was, I don't know if it was intentional. I didn't buy it though. When she stands up to somebody in this movie, and it's early on, it's one of the first people. She stands up to him. She's acting like a badass, but then she steps down as she's going forward to kind of stand her ground or whatever. And I just thought, what? Because she's like 5'1" or something, you know what I mean? And I don't know, but I guess I liked her all right. I didn't hate her.
I liked her. But I think I know her from other movies too.
She did look familiar.
She's very familiar looking, and I forgot to look it up to see if I knew her from other films.
I actually did look it up. I know she was on, as a kid, she was on a soap opera, which you probably wouldn't have ran into. She was, let's see here, Tumbleweeds. It's a Sundance movie. I haven't seen that. Guiding Light's what she was on as a kid.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
She was in Rose Red.
Oh,
there you go. Rose Red. Halloween High. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
yeah.
Halloween Town 2, Calabar's
Yes,
Revenge.
she's in the Halloween Town movies.
There you go.
Those are the Disney ones.
I've seen them back when they aired, I think, but I don't think I've seen those since. I can't really remember them.
Well, while we're speaking of actors, Uncle Charlie, who was played by, let me get here, Christopher Shire. I knew he was familiar, and I looked it up. He was on when they redid the series V. He was one
really?
of the. Yeah, and that's what I knew him from somewhere. He was in that. So that was kind of cool. And I thought he did a good job as Uncle Charlie.
And we got a cameo by Clint Howard.
Yes.
Yes. That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Uh-huh.
His scene is funny, too, whenever
Yes,
she's
it
just
is.
like, I'm a mechanic, dickhead, and he's like, he does that goofy laugh, and I'm like, that's
Yep.
fucking Clint Howard, man. Like, he steals every scene he's in. Every
Yeah, he
movie,
does, man.
if you put him in there.
Yes. He is awesome.
So I thought Sam was, a bit cliched at first, the tough girl who, doesn't take shit from no one, who,
Right.
down the bad tracks in life and this and that and the other. But I thought they went a little above and beyond that, kind of gave her some different elements to her character. She did shit that I wasn't expecting, I guess.
Exactly. There was a lot of surprises in this movie. Definitely.
Yeah. And I think that's something that should be noted is, we talked about it with the surprise, main cast bloodbath thing. And then, there's a few moments where I thought they was going to go one way and they didn't, which is good. You don't want your film to be too predictable. So definitely give it props for original, script writing.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
like the DNA, how she got his DNA. That is funny.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was
so to
speak. Great. I thought the werewolf looked pretty cool,
Yeah.
I actually prefer the more tall hulking werewolves than the man werewolf. I like them both, but I do normally prefer the more beast than the man. But I still like it to be human figured.
Yes.
Sometimes
totally
they're more just straight up wolves.
Yeah,
I like when they're more human.
I'm with you.
Do you like short snout or long snout?
I like them shorter, I guess. They look more human.
I like them both actually. Different. I think of stuff like dog soldiers. I like the werewolves in that one.
Those were
Yeah.
kind of cool. Yeah. Definitely. You know, the only one other thing one of the few things I didn't necessarily care for, and it isn't even a huge knock, but don't you think the main character was just a little bit too naive? I mean,
I 100%
Yo,
agree.
fuck
I think
yeah.
he's a bit too pussy.
I think they overdid that a tad. I don't know, but
Yeah, they definitely made him too like gun shy about everything.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not.
exactly.
I never can really. I I can't relate to those characters sometimes. They're just a little too sensitive and naive. It's just I never look for that in a main character usually.
Exactly. Like it's one thing to try and draw the audience in because everyone has their insecurities or whatever, but to totally overblow it to where you don't even like the guy all of a sudden, that's kind of this was bordering on that for me.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm right with you on that. I really am. I 100% agree. I think that was one of the weakest parts of the film. You know, not
Yeah.
many problems with this one. I liked a lot of stuff they did, but they could have definitely used some work on touching up the main character and maybe even different casting choice.
Maybe so. Yeah. I love the whole idea too, the metaphor they used with the werewolf, which is kind of cool. They could have easily named this movie something else. I won't say it because it'll give away the movie, but after we're done, I'll tell you my alternate title. But
Okay.
it's not very clever, really. But but you know the other thing too, though, that I like, and I don't know, you get kind of sick of frat boys, but at least they get their fair treatment in this. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, I think that's kind of cool.
And the scene with the bear trap.
Yeah.
Every time I see that, like the first thing it came to my mind was the remake of Straw Dogs,
I
where
haven't
at the
seen that.
ending, well, she takes this giant bear trap and does exactly what she did in this movie,
Right.
and it just right over his head and clamps down. I mean, well, in Straw Dogs, I mean, it kills him because he's human. But the moment that happens, like it's fucking, it's almost like shot for shot. Like there's a few things in here that I've seen that I'm like, I think these future films have seen this and we're
Right.
like, hey, we're gonna borrow that from this little known werewolf film.
Could be, you never know what people watch,
Yeah.
and they're obviously influenced. And this guy, he's been around. I mean, the writer director, he's been
You would
around,
be surprised how many films got influenced by Chud.
right?
In our first episode, we talked about how Rich thought that Evil Dead inspired Chud, but it was like kind of the other way around. It kind of blew his mind.
Yeah,
Right.
the sequel to Evil Dead 2, I had thought, came out before Chud, because I was thinking Chud was a later 80s movie, and it turned out I had it backwards. And it was just so surprising how much shit Chud inspired.
Chud is awesome.
That is a fun movie, definitely.
So, did you guys overall you think the stepfather was a good villainous asshole type guy?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. He was just up to the line of being over the top. And
Yeah.
it was right. I think they towed the line pretty good with that guy. He was a good. He's been in a lot of stuff too. Off the top of my head, I'm not thinking of it, but he's you recognize him is what I'm saying when you see
Yeah,
this movie,
like he has that face. It's like, I've seen you in other movies.
right?
Yeah. Or I seen a douchebag that looks just like you.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
he pulls off douchebag pretty well.
Right. He is. He's a jerk, man. He doesn't hold back. But yeah, I thought they did a
Like
good
when he
job
tells the
casting
mom, he tells his mom, like right in front of the kid, like, I'm late for my orgy fuck fest. And he grabs his luggage.
Yeah, yeah, he's kind of a jerk for sure. I shouldn't even make fun of this, but you hear, I don't know, you run into relationships out there where the lady's tied up to some asshole like this, and one of the best lines the mom had for me personally, I don't know why I laugh at stuff like this, but she was saying he's nice sometimes.
Yeah, it kind of was reminding me of because we just did Tales from the Hood, but the
Yeah,
relationship in there. It's like
right.
I remember you guys talking about that too. It's like sometimes it's weird how these girls just stay with the asshole no matter what.
It is. It's unbelievable. We went talking about that with April one time, and I swear to God, if you're like a ex-con, you will never be without a girlfriend, man. All you gotta do is do some time. You'll never have a
Yeah.
lonely moment again.
You know, I had to look this up because I knew he had done a lot of films. Man, he was in Kindergarten Cop, Kingpin, Something About Mary, Black Hawk Down.
Yep.
Like, he's always playing, one of those characters. Like, he's a fucking solid character actor.
Yeah. He was in Moonlighting, too, with I was reading here, with Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd back in the day.
No shit.
Yeah.
I thought that the house looked a little too fucking nice.
Yeah, for a single.
Their house was like, god damn.
Yeah, it was a nice place. I don't know. What did he do for a living, though? Because they did go on a safari. Yeah, I almost forgot about that. The movie starts off.
Yeah, so he had to have had money. Had to somewhere, made money and had a decent job.
Well, I think we figured out why the mother stuck with him then, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah, that'll help you too. Be abusive and rich, and you got it made. Not with every girl. I'm just saying, it seems like those guys always have a girlfriend, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, it sounds like everybody liked this one.
Hell yeah.
I really enjoyed. I was super surprised how much I enjoyed it. Like you, I was expecting some, cheesy werewolf film that nobody talks about and nobody really heard of, because I honestly never hear people talk about this one. And from now on, if people ask me like, what's a good underrated horror film, this is probably one I'll throw to them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I was jealous that you got it and I didn't do it on Terror Troop, I'll tell you, because this is why we watch all the crappy movies we do, because you do, once in a while, you find one that's just special. Like, you're like, God, they did a lot of stuff right in this. And really, what the strength of this movie is there's a lot of them, but the writing is really good in this. For a low-budget movie.
The story goes in different places that you don't expect.
Yep. It's really good.
Man, I gotta give it fucking... This might be a 10 for me.
Whoa.
Nice.
And like you said, though, it doesn't mean it's a perfect film.
Oh, yeah.
But does it hit all the notes? It hits all the notes for a werewolf film.
Yep. Yeah, it does.
I'm
thought
gonna
I
say
was high.
9.5. That's the final one. It's a 9.5 for me.
We've talked about it before, but just really quickly, 10s to me aren't perfect films, and a lot of people base their ratings differently. Mine, my favorite horror films of all time will probably get 10s, and then so on and so on. This one I'd probably give a 7.5.
Nice.
It seems kind of
It's a good solid score. Well, the thing of it is the way people rate is just like a fingerprint. It's really hard to, because you're factoring in different things. And I got to be honest, on Terror Troop, if I rated the same movie twice, I may give it a different one different time.
I've said that a lot of times. Yeah. Some people will be really critical about that. Like how can you give it a different rating? Well, because people's opinions change. You can feel different when you're watching it. You might be in a bad mood the first time you watched it, so on and so on. So my ratings change all the time. And my thing with ratings is I like when people rate, because once I get to know their ratings, like say they give Blood Gnome a 3 and they give Lost Boys an 8 and they give Maniac Cop 2 8, like I'll eventually know when they rate something, all right, that sounds like something that I would like, because based on the other films that they rated around the way that I would rate them, it makes sense.
Right. Yep, I agree with you. That's how you get to know people, even if they're not these rock solid things. Now, the only way you can really do those kind of ratings is if you do have a list like Bill Shetty used to do when we did Grizzly Zone. They were broken down into different categories, and then you just added them up and averaged it, and that was your rating. Well, that's technical, and you can do that, but I just don't roll that way because I don't know, just the nature of the show I'm on, I guess.
It seems like that'd be awfully time consuming too.
It does.
Like I have categories in my head to see what they hit, but to sit there and write everything out. Yep,
you'd have to. You had a little score sheet. That's what I did. I made my own little score sheet, and
That's a good idea.
It made it easier. You just do it while you're watching, but it does take a little more time to do it that way. But you do get more of a technical.
Yeah, it is really technical. It kind of breaks it down to like specifically like a solid average rating for the film, like that would be pretty universal between people. Like I kind of did like the way he did that whole, what was it, like 100-point scoring system or something.
I'm trying to remember now, but yeah, I think it did. It would have added up to 100 if it was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was some room for subjectivity in there, but like cinematography, things like that are pretty,
Yeah, but then you get into the whole thing like, well, what is worth more, cinematography or effects?
Exactly.
Because some things are worth more to me than, like, for me, the script is worth more than maybe some of the cinematography sometimes.
Right.
And that's why I think I rank this one almost a 10, because you have a solid script and the practical effects. Those two combined, with decent acting, that's better than like some fancy shots or anything, because you have three solid things that I need to be invested into the movie.
Well,
yeah.
Hey,
and overall, it's fun.
Exactly. That's the main reason you want to watch them, is to have some fun. And, I'll give you an example of a movie that had really good cinematography that is totally shitty compared to this movie, and it was the Gallow Walkers with Wesley Snipes, man.
Yeah.
You can't find a more beautifully shot movie, but holy mackerel, what a mess.
I thought he was going to say Lords of Salem.
No, I wouldn't do that. Although I did like the cinematography.
It kind of applies, though, in coming from your standpoint, though, like, because I remember you saying the cinematography and stuff was great, but it was more style over substance.
Yeah. Gallow Walkers looks like it should have been like this huge fucking budget movie, because like every shot is fucking beautiful.
Exactly.
But then the story is like, well, wait, what?
Exactly.
But it takes to the last 10 minutes, and you're like, oh, I get the story now. But it's not long enough for you to be like, to digest it and be like, oh, cool, right. I get it. Because once you find everything out, it's over.
Exactly. Yeah. But I could totally see, here's how I could justify, if I was going to give it a 9.5, which I won't do that, but I could justify what you're saying by just look at it this way. If you look at the budget of this movie and what they were able to accomplish, that's a 9.5. Just, if you look at what they achieved, I mean, that's it. It's hard enough to make a shitty movie, you know what I mean? To get it all done and edited and all that takes a lot of work, and I always try to give credit for that anyway, but I would give this movie an 8.5 totally. I enjoyed it a lot. I'd buy it.
That's solid. That's a good rating.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good. That's just how I'd rate it on my show. So that's what I'm going to give it. I guess 8.5. But I don't think that you're out of bounds by giving it a 9.5 either. It's all subjective, and like if you're looking at it from that viewpoint alone, you could give it that score. I mean, really well done.
Yeah, for sure. Nothing is crazy to me. Like, if you want to give it a 9.5, that's sounds fair to me. To you, it's a 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it. I can get behind that. And then also last week we all gave Tales from the Hood a 9, I believe.
Yeah, it was the unanimous 9.
I was gonna bust your balls a bit and be like, "How are you gonna rate this higher than Tales from the Hood?" But I think that I think that you can't do that. I might rate some, low budget crappy movie an 8, and then some awesome movie, a 7.5. But I think you have to judge each one by theirself and not really compare and start pulling like, well, I gave this one a 9 and this one an 8, so this one has to be a little higher, because it doesn't work that way. At least for me, I find that sometimes I try to do that and it just doesn't work, because I look at the films as like what they are.
I can pinpoint exactly why, though. I can tell you right now exactly why I would give this a 9.5 and that a 9. And it lost, Tales from the Hood lost a point because of the last story. The very ending of the last story. It should have been like fleshed out a little bit more. Just like I would like to see a little bit more on the last story, and that end transformation into the devil, which, I mean, is fucking cool, but I would have liked to seen that practical, which,
Yeah.
I mean, as you see now, my stickler is, did they do it practical or did they go CGI?
Yeah.
And that's why I deducted 1 point. The 0.5 is why I'm deducting that, because now, you know, from sitting there thinking about it, the 0.5 goes to that, you know, the over gun shy of the male, you know, our second male lead, the child,
Yeah.
the kid. You know, he wasn't like, he could have been a little more, more full, like a more range. Like you can't tell me this person was pledging this frat and stuff, but he's just timid, shy.
Yeah,
guy.
right. That doesn't
You know what I
make
mean?
sense. I kind of forgot about that.
So that's
Exactly.
why it loses half a point.
Another inconsistency, now that you mentioned that, it totally brought that up, but how he goes from being like that, and then all of a sudden although he has a little bit of a trouble at the very start, jumps on a Ducati and flies down, and then he instantly knows how to ride with a girl on the back too. Like as soon as everything's over, well, I don't want to give it away, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
he got infused with the super juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I think that about wraps it up, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think we covered our bases.
Yeah, we talked a bit about ratings, of course, the werewolf films. I definitely enjoyed Big Bad Wolf way more than Wolf, but
Oh yeah.
definitely a fun topic. I like, werewolves are hit and miss, but at least they're not overly saturated like zombies.
Oh yeah. I hear you. Yeah. What's funny is I usually like the movies when I watch them, but there's so damn many of them. You just get tired of it, you know?
Yeah.
The worst thing that ever happened was the title Night of the Living Dead falling into the public domain. That is the worst thing, because every asshole with a camera makes a movie and calls it Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course I'm going to watch it because I'm curious. But then I get into it and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Like, fuck, I shouldn't have did this.
Yeah. So any last words, Rich? devilseyes.com and all that stuff?
Well, you just covered that, because with the devilseyes.com, this show is also there, and on your YouTube channel. I can't
Plenty
remember.
of other shows there too, huh?
Dude, we got too many shows now. I can't remember them all.
It's
I
like
get
a
like
network.
Yeah, which is weird, because I never thought that I would, end up having all these good shows in one spot. And now it's like, damn, I got all these shows. So like I try to space them out, like, one for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then it seems like around Thursday to Saturday, everybody's like, hey, my show's done. Here you go. And I'm like, oh, fuck, how am I going to space this out? But on a high note, I got a GoPro, dude. And, I fucking love this camera.
That's
nice.
Cool. That's awesome.
Dude, I'm telling you, you can shoot a feature. No one better copy this idea. Whoever's listening, do not make a feature film with a GoPro. But I'm telling you, it's doable. When I got
it's had
ideas,
to be done. I think it's
no,
done, man.
I'm telling you. I'll tell you off air. I'm not saying anymore.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know that James Cullen Bressick, he shot one on an iPhone.
Yes.
I haven't seen it, but I know he did it.
Yeah, James is cool as shit.
He is a good guy, definitely.
So, boss, you got anything? What do you guys got coming up on Terror Troop?
Well, let me see here. We're gonna do a kind of a retrospective with two of my co-hosts. We're gonna have Kelly Kilbot and Levi Olson, and I are gonna do full episodes where we break down. We're gonna do retrospective on Charles B. Pierce, and there's 4 films of his that kind of fall into the horror realm. He's of course most famous for The Legend of Boggy Creek. We did recently record that one, and it'll be coming out pretty soon. And I'm doing a big 3-part type discussion on cults and weird shit like that with April Washko, and all our usual stuff. We have, Emily and Malky and all the guys putting in different segments and stuff. And I don't know. We got a lot of things around the corner. We're continuing to build our YouTube page. But basically, you can stay in touch with us at terrortroop.com, or we are on Facebook. Encourage you to come over there. And if you like our show, definitely interact with us. We'd love to talk to everybody. But thanks for having me on, JP. Really appreciate it. And we'll have to try and get you guys on at some point.
I would love that. That would be awesome.
Terror Troop. That'd be fun to talk to you guys on there.
Down for whatever. I'm always up for it.
Good deal. We'll work it out after the show.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right, so that about wraps it up, guys. I'll of course post all the links below to Boss's stuff and the Devil's Eyes and all that, guys. See you guys next week with episode number 4, and I'm out. Peace.